Hello, everyone, and welcome to our stream today. We have a great stream prepared for you guys today, and we are joined by Hans Jagnow, who has prepared a short presentation for us. After which we will delve deeper in some topics that were submitted from our staff and community as well. And feel free to ask any questions during the stream, and we will try to go over as many as possible at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I won't take more of your time, and I would like to introduce and very much welcome Hans Jagnow, the Vice President of Operations at ESL Pro League. And thank you for joining us, Hans.
Thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to be here today. I'm very thankful to be able to talk to your community. And just let me quickly get into my presentation so I can see this properly. Greetings from Berlin. I'm working from Berlin with the ESL Pro League and the Louvre agreement. What that is, I'll be explaining over the next minutes, and what I would like to look into with you today and with your community today is governance beats business, the current development in esports leagues. So just a quick introduction about myself. I'm the VP Operations for the ESL Pro League / Louvre agreement. I have a background in legal and cultural studies. I was majoring in legal and working with law and politics in Berlin and Washington, D.C. over the past years. I also worked with the German and European Esports Federation, served in the German Esports Federation as a president for the last couple of years until I joined ESL Pro League as a VP Operations in August 2020. One of the things that is relevant for these talks is my understanding is what brought me into esports and what is my position actually looks like, right? And that is obviously a very interesting path in esports. I think there's no story like any other. So there's no way into esports is the same. But obviously, from the beginning of my youth, I had a big affinity to gaming, and I loved gaming, and I loved playing first by myself, and then later in network parties, and obviously when the internet was becoming more and more accessible and more popular, also loved playing multiplayer titles over the internet. And I'm super happy that I'm now with 32 able to work with one of my childhood games, which is Counter-Strike, something that I really enjoyed playing over the last decades, and that is now part of my everyday job. And that tells two things. First of all, you have to have the affinity for gaming. You have to have that passion to learn about it at least. There's no need to be like a full-grown core gamer to work in the esports industry, but it sure helps a lot to understand how everything works and how everything is where everyone and everything is coming from, where the legacy was built, right? And that is something that really followed me over the last couple of years and led to my volunteer initiatives with the Esports Federation, both in Germany and Europe, and that finally brought me here to bring together my education, which was a more formal legal education, as I said, and my passion, which is gaming and obviously esports in specific. I would like to have a look first at the typical stakeholders in esports. You could make a list that involves a lot of stakeholders that have some interest in esports, that have some possibility to influence the esports system. It's a highly dynamic ecosystem, But at the core, there are, from my point of view, there are four important pillars: the publisher and developer of the game, of the respective game, the tournament organizers, such as ESL, the team brands, and the professional players. And they all are connected. They all have their own interests, but they all looking to have to create a sustainable ecosystem in something that now attracts millions of people. And if you look at how, if we are looking at different games, we see that we have different league models developed over the past year. In the beginning, like coming from a legacy, right? There was 20 years ago, the leagues and the tournaments looked like a typical amateur initiative, right? Even though the first professional elements were added, we were in 1999 and the early 2000s. We were still at the first point of the journey that became esports and the global esports movement. We had friendships that were built in network parties. We had the first tournament. It was all pretty low level, and even then there were a lot of thoughts about how can I build this, right? But over the past few years, esports, obviously, and you all know that, became super popular. It is a major attraction point, not only for the public domain, but also for investors, for companies that are looking to be active in there. Teams got more and more professionalized. The leagues got more and more professionalized, and also the stakeholder list I showed you, that the publishers got more and more interested into what the community, the esports community, did with their games. And out of that, I would say there are three main models that we can see in the esports market today. The first model is the franchise system. We know that from traditional sports league in the United States mostly, but also from other countries. The franchise system is a partner team only system. You have a limited number of slots in the franchise system. The slots are sold or given to a certain team that then owns the rights and the possibility to compete in that league with that slot. The advantages are it's a very stable system. It's built on stability. Even though you have a couple of bad years, you cannot relegate. You cannot drop to a lower league. You have the security of being in there, but also there's less excitement about the storylines that are created. There's not a lot of openness. If you look to the right, we have the complete opposite. The open league model, where you have an open to all teams league, and you have a full relegation and qualification system where you just have constantly teams dropping in and out. That is something that is very much associated with the European Soccer Association models and the European soccer leagues. And then there's a third option, and that became very popular in the Counter-Strike space over the past years, which is a partner-based league model that isn't quite a franchise, but has a lot of open aspects. So you have partner teams and guest teams. You have your partner teams protected from dropping to lower leagues through a relegation protection, but still there's an openness through the guest teams to involve new and coming teams, new and coming upcoming players. Looking at ESL Pro League, that is one of the world's oldest and most prestigious league in CSGO. We currently have 12 partner teams. We have 12 qualified teams, so coming through an open slot system in there that qualified through the ESL World Ranking and the ESEA Championship, so lower leagues that they're still pretty demanding, but leading up the challengers that compete in there to the ESL Pro League. We're currently hosted in Malta, obviously in an online fashion right now due to the COVID times and the restrictions. We have that. We pay a lot of attention to the security of our players. We have 2 seasons per year, and this year we have 5 weeks per season. So in a typical year of Counter-Strike, we make up basically 25% of the Counter-Strike year through ESL Pro League, and we have a big prize pool attached to each season, so it's very attractive, obviously, to compete at our league for the high-profile players. So what we are looking for with ESL Pro League is combining the strength and the popularity of the world's biggest esports teams. The Louvre agreement, that is the legal fundamentals of the ESL Pro League system, combines 13 members, 1 tournament organizer, which is ESL, and 12 well-known, super high-profile team brands. Since I'm at a Finnish host, obviously you guys know ANS. But also we have legacy brands in there that are making this agreement so successful and one of the strongest agreements all over the place. The pillars of the Louvre agreement, which is in place now for over a year, are the pillars of our success. We have 3 big pillars that we can rely on. The first one is the governance that is shared between teams and ESL. The second one is a revenue that is shared between the members, and the last part is business development. And they all influence each other. The governance part is easy. The member teams decide about certain aspects of the league's makeup, of the league's development, about the rules and regulations that are in place for the league, and leave their own footprints in the league's history by just advancing and detailing out the structure that is working towards this league. So the second important part is the revenue share, and that is ultimately very well connected to the governance. The revenue share obviously takes the revenues that are created through the league and shares them between the partner teams and ESL. And that is a very basic concept, but it's very successful. And I will explain why that is in just a minute. But this is one of the pillar stones. And obviously, with your governance decisions, with your league governance decisions, you also ultimately influence how the revenue share will look like, how the created revenues will look like, which opportunities to take on, and which probably to pass, which risk to enter into, and which one to avoid. And it leads to business development. Next to the traditional revenue streams, for example, sponsorships or media rights, there's also the field of business development. So we are looking at a whole lot of new business opportunities that are the best approach to tackle them, to the most effective approach to them is through the aggregation of 12 member teams and their rights and assets and expertise, and obviously the tournament organizer ESL. So those are the 3 pillar stones, and we are just like I said, this agreement is in place for over a year now. We just are at the beginning in structuring the work we do in the Louvre agreement. We are having internal discussion forums. We just announced a few weeks back that we integrated the pro players representatives into a league player council, a forum to discuss league matters with on the same level with the players. So those are the development points we really value in this setup, and we are really looking forward to develop as a successful story, because we are building for the future. What we are looking for, and that is very important in a very dynamic esports world, is stability for all involved stakeholders, and that is really a main goal, to stabilize a super dynamic market and create long-term investment opportunities, create long-term vision to bring everything together and to monetize and to build successfully the business, as well as a very, very exciting product for the fans. We are building for the future because we aggregate opportunities, especially in this business development space, where we are looking at new and interesting developments and looking for new technologies, new ideas that we could integrate into the league's model. We also think that the future, and that is a dedicated decision, as I said, from all of those league models, we are believing in a flexible and open ecosystem. We are looking to create a path from zero to hero. Every player can make it if they are strong enough, if they are talented enough, and we want to foster that mindset, that spirit, that if you are working hard enough and if you are competing on the best and the highest level, you will be able to make it to the most prestigious league in the world in CSGO. And we are looking to continue to be the home for the best CSGO players in the world, also in the future. That is our goal. And now I'm very much looking forward for your questions and your input. I'm happy to answer whatever you throw at me.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll start with some questions that were submitted by the community here. I was muted. All right, thank you very much. We'll start with some questions that were submitted by the community here. And if any questions pop up in chat at the meantime, I will make sure to ask those as well. So, oh, there's already one there. Here you go. It's from Yauku, or esports coordinator here at the CAMC. Are there any open positions for practical training for esports students?
Well, we always have open positions at ESL. I just would recommend to visit about.eslgaming.com, where you can find a lot of information on the company. Obviously, we have a challenging situation in COVID times that is challenging for every employer, but we are still looking for talent all over the place. So pay a visit to eslgaming.com.
All right, great, thank you. And then we have a question here from Zeiki, who asked, where did the idea for this Louvre agreement come from in the first place?
Well, there is a constant flow of communications between the tournament organizers and the teams, right? So there is a constant development on how to work together and how to build a trustful partnership. And the Louvre agreement was just part of a series of those talks towards a joint and mutual understanding on how to proceed forward and how to build the future of CSGO esports with this agreement.
Right, thank you. And then there's a question here from Richard, who contacted you in the first place, who says, thank you, Han, and a question for you. How did you initially approach the legacy brands to enter the agreement?
It's the same answer, basically, right? It's we are in constant communications, and obviously ESL is hosting tournaments for over 20 years now, and some of the brands are there since the beginning of their lifetime. They started going to ESL tournaments, and they are just in constant contact as you work so close together, and you just have the circuit of events all over the world, traveling from one point to another. There are close connections, close networking between the teams, and then you just go from there, right?
Perfect, thank you. Another question here is Valve involved with the agreement as well? So did you have to do anything special with them in regards to the agreement?
Yeah, you would understand, I hope, that we can't go into detail for some of those questions. I'm pretty sure that my presentation showed you that there is an importance to the publisher as a stakeholder, and that there is constant communications about the developments in the CS:GO space.
And continuing a bit on the governments here, do you feel like esports lacks any governments from a governmental level itself, like from the governments from the countries themselves?
Well, I don't think that we in particular need to have esports regulations. There's already in a lot of countries already regulations in place that regulate games and video games in particular. For example, youth protection law. There is a lot of new regulations that are evolving around internet services and communities in the internet. So there is kind of there's kind of a already regulated system in place in many countries, especially in the European Union. What I think is lacking is governments actually supporting esports, building support structures mainly for the grassroots level, to support the from zero to hero vision at all levels, and create their own superstars in their respective countries, support the well-being of the players, as we do obviously on our level, but just on the broader ecosystem, on the broader esports movement point of view, it would be great to see governments go into the amateur levels, go into the volunteer levels, and provide funding and support there.
Right, thank you. And another message from our coordinator here. Do you work together with Marcus Olodin-Koskivirta? Sorry.
I won't comment on individual persons here.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Another question from Richard here. As you are working with brands located across the whole world, have you ever had any language or cultural barriers between team management and ESL? Because you mentioned the communication is key in your collaboration.
Well, the esports ecosystem, right, is mostly consisting of people that are so fluently in English, that are very aware of different cultures, and obviously with so many events, so many opportunities, there's here and there will be some misunderstanding, etc. But coming from politics, coming from the legal space, esports is highly sophisticated, highly internationalized, super global, and I just, my feeling is, working in this industry for some time now, that there is very, very low key barriers, if at all.
All right, and one more general question here. What is your favorite ESL tournament moment?
That is really, really hard to ask, just because we represent we represent obviously a lot of teams, and we don't have any favors. But just in terms of how I found how my spark in esports got reignited a couple of years ago, was at ESL 1 in Cologne, 2018. There was the one of the national teams making it into the finals, and it was like a typical underdog story. We trust in you, but no one could have foreseen this, and it was just you. You should have seen the fans, how everyone, and obviously it's a German event, and if a German team there goes to the finals, it's a very special occasion. And everyone was just so hyped. And even if you came for another team, you were in the end, you were so much lifted by the spirits of the cheers of the crowd. It was just, that was something where I was really shivering. And I would think about myself as a very logical and very rational person, but that really sparked a lot of emotions in me, that led to really fall in love with esports all over again.
Beautiful, thank you. And one more question here for more general. What games do you still play most commonly in your free time other than CSGO? And do you still have free time to play the new ones?
Do I have free time? Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something where you really need to be honest about. It's something that you don't have as often as you had it probably as a student, for example, where you just had much more time to spend on gaming, much more time to spend on communicating with friends through gaming, etc. But that is something I really value, to stay in touch, because for me, you really have to have a feeling for the current trends of the industry, obviously, but also for the gaming space in general. So I play a lot of games, probably not as much as I really need to value every game I play. So sometimes I just quit a game after 20% or something of the missions done. But I still schedule time to play games. That is one of the reality of the business. You need to schedule time for playing games.
All right, thank you. Another question here. Do you have opinions on the more recent entry of location-based leagues, such as Overwatch and Call of Duty? And do you feel the more global approach to league and team relations to be the most beneficial for the industry?
I think we have shown with ESL Pro League that the approach we chose is working very well, and that it's an approach that is feeling very natural to the esports community, while other approaches might not spark the same feeling. Though that said, it's interesting to see what you can learn from traditional sports, and what you can monetize on there, what you can bring to the table in terms of what they have learned over the last couple of decades in building their leagues. But still, at the end, you are in the esports space, and you need to respect that, right? It's an own history, it's an own legacy. It's a very dedicated and special community that you really have to pay attention to. And there is no success in just copy and pasting stuff. Not saying that the mentioned leagues did that, but what we see in general is that there is a lot of ideas coming from traditional sports, just saying you could do this and that because we did it for the past couple of decades, and it's shown to not work the same way it did with the reference traditional sports league. So main message here is we made very good we have a very good experience with the way we structured our league. We have a very good feeling for what the community wants and needs, and what they want to see and how they feel comfortable. And we try to continue on that path, really closely listen to the community, to the fans, because they are, in the end, they decide with where they spend their time, what games they are interested and what leagues they are interested, what formats they are interested on, which model will succeed in the end.
All right, thank you very much. And a question here from Nikita, one of our students. In your opinion, what is the most interesting partnership or collaboration what we could see in the future with esports? What kind of different brands?
I think there are two answers to the question. The most interesting thing right now is obviously the developments around the blockchain opportunities and NFTs, so non-fungible tokens, that are digital representations of sports memorabilia and collectibles in the esports space. So I think there's a lot of interesting development there that we've seen working out in other sports, in other traditional sports as well. And that is probably something that will be watched very closely in the future. But coming from a more general point of view, I think the question of league governance will remain one of the most interesting developments. We were really eager to get in all the stakeholders to an equal level. I think that will be a continuous path of discussion on how the stakeholders can balance out their interests, their ideas, and where they want to go in the future of esports, and how they can stabilize their own assets in that space.
All right, thank you. And one more associated with the practical training ones. What are the main benefits working in ESL?
Well, I joined ESL. To be honest, I joined ESL obviously in a time where we don't see each other that often as we would like, but we spend a lot of time in video calls and connecting through different digital formats. So I can only speak from that perspective. That said, I was, before I started at ESL, I was a guest in their headquarters a lot. So first and foremost, we have the most amazing colleagues, right? Those are people that are so innovative, that are so on the brink of we want to drive things forward. We have the greatest ideas. We want to go forward and just change the world with what we do. I really love that companionship that is between my ESL colleagues, and I'm really glad to be part of that community. ESL has a great headquarters in Cologne, a very modern building. I really like the spirit that is lived there. The town hall meetings that are going on there, the games, the studios integrated into the headquarters. So people working there, the studios producing stuff, and it's just an amazing place to work at. What I really like is to be respected for what you bring to the table. I think that should be the case with every employer, but very few can live up to that. And I really like being valued for the development and the responsibilities you have, and the developments you foster. So I'm really happy to be part of the ESL family, to be honest.
It's amazing to hear. Thank you. One more question here. What is your opinion on player unions?
Like I said, we have a very dedicated interest in bringing players' voices to the league structure, right? There's obviously players can confer anywhere in the world and can bring their own ideas to each other. But we also wanted to create a space inside our league where players could come together and bring their critique, their feedback, their what they like, what they want to see changed to the table, and have an open forum there. So I think really that is a good way of going forward.
Thank you. And one more question from Richard here. How do you see education and academic space in esports? And will they change workplaces such as ESL when potential employees are able to enter the company with previous esports specific education?
I think there is a lot of value in the ongoing education initiatives that we see, and also important, the research initiatives that we see. We need young and dynamic and forward-thinking people that further the industry, that further the space that esports is in right now, to just move the borders of what we can do today to the next levels, to extend the overall esports space. So we are very appreciative of the educational path that opened up. I'm very happy to be here today with Kajak and speaking to you, and I think that is a good statement on how important that is for us.
It's great to hear for students, of course, as well. And then one more COVID-related question. Of course, it's a very difficult time for all of us. But we were wondering, how has COVID affected ESL business and stakeholders relationship? Of course, everything has to go online, but is there like a clear difference in doing it online versus offline?
Well, you can see that in the numbers, I guess. Like we had last year when basically every country in Europe and all over the world went into lockdown. We had a spike in gameplay numbers, but also in what we could see from our in part of like what we could see in terms of viewership that we're looking at ESL events, etc. But we obviously missed the opportunity to come together in person. We missed the opportunity to come together with big crowds, with amazing fan communities that are just meeting at our events, and to bring together the players, the pro players, to compete live on stage. It's something it's hard for us to really see that not happening right now. And a lot of colleagues, obviously, that build the events for the last couple of years are somewhat heartbroken to not have the opportunity to execute on that for the last couple of months. However, we are hopefully that we will be able to return at least to a studio stage over the next few months with vaccinations going on, with security measures going on. I think it's just important to see that the safe and healthy environment comes at first place for us. But speaking about the esports space in general, I think you see that there is a more concerned general industry space, where you just have like sponsorships, etc., not being you really have to convince your sponsor that you are the right place to be at. But esports, of all sports and all entertainment formats, is one of the prime example for what digitization can bring in such times. We were able to compete with online tournaments. We were able to foster our productions and to bring our league online despite the COVID pandemic. And we really provided stability where others needed to just take a step back and pause, which shows that esports obviously is not hurting as much as other industries, but we really would like to go back to bring back the offline events, and I think the players see it the same way. Our crew sees the same way. The fans see it the same way. We just want to move on from this COVID crisis.
Yes, I think we can all agree with that. One more question here from Nikita. What do you think about mobile gaming? Would it replace main esports scene from PCs to smartphones? And if there may be any ESL public projects linked with mobile games?
Yeah, actually, we just launched our mobile initiatives. ESL Mobile was just launched a few days ago. I wouldn't talk about like replacing or shifting anything. Mobile and PC, like both. There was like this narrative that PC is dead for like 20 years right now, right? There's constantly someone saying, well, there is I don't know, Xbox or PlayStation coming out, and the users will just go away from PC. But that didn't happen, and the same happened with mobile and smartphones coming out, and no one will play on PC anymore. But that's not happening, right? The truth is, the space in which gaming happens gets larger and larger. Gaming is for all ages, it's for all target groups, it's for everyone, and mobile just opens up a new level of play that rather extends the possibilities of esports instead of replacing anything. So I'm looking at a lot of growth rather than any shifts or replacements. And I think mobile esports has a bright future. That is for sure.
Thank you very much. And one of the last questions here from Jouko, our coordinator, once again more employee related. What characteristics do you value in your employees or coworkers?
I think one of the most important things, and that is something that is not esports specific, but that I found to be important all my career, is enthusiasm and passion, just the fire to really like your job. I know that there are people out there that say, like, I want to go to work and I want to go home and I get my salary and that's it, and I keep the wheels turning, but it's nothing personal. I think I really love to work with people that think it's personal. That is me doing something. That is me pushing something forward. And I think from my perspective, from my individual perspective, that is a real big quality to have, to bring to the table, to just be the person that really burns for that really is on fire for whatever they are doing for their living. And I think that really goes well with reliability. Just trusting your co-workers, your colleagues, to be there for you when you will be there for them all the way down. That is something that is super important, that keeps all, like, I'm coming from operations, right? I'm loving processes. I love to see how, like, this and step this and step that, and we can do this in parallel, and etc. But it's all depending on the trust that your colleagues and you yourself, you need to be reliable and honest towards yourself.
All right, and that concludes the interview right here. I want to thank you again, of course, for your time. It was wonderful to listen to you and to hear all of your insights. Are there any last words you would like to present?
Just again, thank you for having me here today. It's great to talk about what we are doing and what we are achieving with the Louvre agreement, with our partner teams, and with the ESL. Keep on studying, keep on fighting the good fight, so to say. Again, thank you for having me here. Thank you, Richard, for the invite. I think you're doing a all of you are doing a great job here. So I'm really happy to probably see you again, and hopefully then in person. And really, I would really love to visit Finland, to be honest.
All right. Okay. Thank you again very much. And thank you everyone for joining us here today. Make sure to follow both us and of course also Hans on social media. You saw his Twitter in the other slide before. And I hope see you all next time. Thank you very much.